Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And since they've gotten to the playoff thing with Major League Baseball for this year, I figured I did an overall review of both leagues. And now, since we are in the Final Four, which is starting tonight, I figured, okay, go and continue it and talk about the two. Excuse me for a minute. The two LCSs or League Championship Series, which is the second round of playoffs, and I want to get. So I'm going to do both of them. At least hopefully I'm going to try and get both of them in one video instead of dividing it up like you did last time. Um, I'm going to start off with the American League playoffs because that starts the day I'm doing this video and hopefully post it tonight just before the playoffs will start. The American League playoffs has a rematch of the 1985 playoffs between the Kansas City Royals and the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Kansas City has the home field advantage, so they got a 4 out of 7 in their ballpark. And this is the defending American League champs versus the Blue Jays, who is the hottest team in the American League right now. And it's really an interesting matchup. I do like both teams. So I'm having and hawing of which team I'm going to decide who my pick is for who's going to win these playoff series. And I do hope that the best team wins. And I'm kind of hedging towards. I mean, to me, it's like a coin flip. I mean, both teams are so close that I'm still in this moment having this trouble deciding who I want to see, represent the American League in the World Series. But to me, it doesn't matter which team it is. I like both teams. You have one team in Kansas City who hasn't won a World Series in 30 years, since 1985, and ironically, they beat the Blue Jays in the playoffs to get to the World Series. And 30 years ago, 1985, and of course, you have the Blue Jays who haven't been in the World Series since 1993 when they went back to back World Series in '92 and in '93. So it's quite an interesting dynamic. Uh, I'd like to see both teams win, but of course, only one team is going to win the World Series this year, and so it's calling it pretty much a tie because I do kind of like both teams. And I think Toronto has the better hitting, uh, but I think the pitching in both teams is not that great. Uh, I think Kansas City has a slight edge since they're defending American League champs and all that stuff. So if it goes by hitting, I'm going for the and give the Blue Jays an edge because I think they have the better hitting. If it's pitching, if it goes for a pitching series, naturally, of course, Kansas City cannot pitch anybody. So that's how I see it. Of course, in the National League playoffs, which is of course going to start tomorrow night, the 17th or October 17th. Of course, it's going to be with the New York Mets versus the Chicago Cubs. And even though the Mets do have home field advantage in the playoffs, and they do have the better starting pitching staff, the Cubs are favored to win because for a couple of reasons. Number one, they won 97 games this year, which is like the third best record in the whole National League. And they knocked off the team with the best record, which were the Cardinals in the first round of playoffs, and they beat the team with the second best record in the wild card game. But of course, everybody is picking the Cubs, not just for the reasons I already mentioned, but because for one reason and one reason only, and that is having to be the one little scene in the 1989 film Back to the Future Part 2, which with Roy McFly or the Michael J. Fox characters in the town square, and the billboard flashes, "Congratulations, Cubs, 2015 World Champions." Of course, since we're now in the year 2015, everybody's saying, okay, this is the Cubs year to finally do it because it's predicted in the movie. I mean, what a bunch of fucking morons. I have to say it. Excuse my language, you're a bunch of fucking morons who think the Cubs are going to win the World Series because that's seen in the movie. But it is 2015, and the Cubs have a 1 in 4 chance of getting to the World Series. But of course, we all know the Cubs are not going to get there. The reason why they're not going to get there is because, of course, the so-called curse of the Billy Goat. For those of you who don't know what it is, outside of Chicago, for those who don't know what it is, in 1945, the last time the Cubs were in the World Series, there was a guy who owned a tavern in Chicago called the Billy Goat Tavern. And of course, he has a Billy Goat for a mascot. He tried to get into Wrigley Field during one of the World Series games in Wrigley Field, and they would not allow him uh, in the ballpark. So he put a curse on the Cubs, so the Cubs would never win another game in the World Series. They would never win another championship in Chicago. And sure enough, what happened? They lost the 1945 World Series to I think the Tigers. I think it was, and the Cubs have never played in the World Series ever since, because they had a bunch of god awful teams. And most of the teams, this is only, I think, like the fifth time, I think it is, because since 1945, the Cubs have been in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs in '84, in '89. Both those 2 years to actually beat the Mets out for the division, because they were in the same division that time. They were also in the playoffs in 2003, of course, the famous Bartman game, the Steve Bartman incident. And of course, they were in the World Series and the playoffs in 2008. They've not been in the playoffs. I think this is like the first time they're in the playoffs since then. And I don't see them winning. I give them maybe the pitcher they have, Arrieta. I give them like 1 game. I give them maybe 1 or 2 games. I don't see the Cubs beating the Mets. Simply because of the fact that they suck. There's a reason why the Cubs have not been in the World Series in 70 years. There's a reason why they haven't won the World Series since 1908. There's a reason for it, and that's because they suck. It's basically the reason. It's not because of some so-called curse. It's because they suck. They really do suck, and I don't see them beating the Mets pitching staff. And of course, the one stat that you could say, I'm talking about this particular Cubs team, is the fact that they played the Mets 7 games this year, and the Cubs beat the Mets in all 7 games. Now, of course, I said, "Oh, there's going to be a cakewalk for the Cubs then." Wrong, folks, because of what happened in 1988. What happened that year, of course, my team, the Mets, played the Dodgers. That time they played 12 games a year, and in that time, I mean, how long? I mean, it was almost 30 years ago now. I can't believe it's been almost 30 years already since that team. And the Mets, the 12th game was actually rained out, so they only ended up playing 11 games. And the Mets beat the Dodgers 10 out of 11 games played. And not only that, but the Mets won all 6 games at Dodger Stadium. Come the playoffs, they were carried by Kirk Gibson, who won the National League MVP that year, and Orel Hershiser, who had that streak of 59 consecutive scoreless innings that year as well. Because they were carried on the back of those 2 guys, they ended up beating the Mets in 7 games. And then, of course, it was only in the time we only had 1 round of playoffs. They didn't have a wild card team then. And they beat the Mets in 7 games. So, of course, this year, with the Cubs beating the Mets on all 7 regular season games this year, of course, I'm predicting the Mets are going to beat the Cubs in the playoffs. That's simply because of that, because of the law of averages. True, you have the law of averages on the Cubs side as well, because they haven't been in the World Series in 70 years. Plus, it was the first time they actually played in the League Championship Series since, of course, the infamous Bartman game. But I'm telling you guys now, I feel with every gut that the Cubs want to once again lose. I mean, on one hand, I'm not surprised if they will win, because I predicted in my National League Play review that the Mets were going to lose. The Mets were not going to get to the World. I predicted that. But I also predicted that the Cubs were not going to win either. So hemming and hawing on both sides of the scale here. But I feel that the Cubs, once again, are not going to get to the World Series. But I also feel it's going to be some kind of wacky play somewhere down the line in the Mets Cup Series. And the thing that's the biggest joke, the biggest insult, I have to say this right away, since I have some time left in this video, I feel that's a joke. That this particular series, the Mets Cup Series, is not on regular television, but on cable TV. TBS, which is the Turner Broadcasting Service, is going to be broadcasting every single game of the Mets Cup Series. Not one game is on regular television, or on the regular Fox network, because for them it's more important to show the football games on college games on Saturday and Sunday, than show both playoff series. I mean, it used to be when they would show a primetime playoff game every single night, or at least they would show games on regular television over the weekend. At least two games, a late afternoon game and the evening game or primetime game. They're not even doing that. They took the ALCS, the American League Championship Series between turned out to be Toronto and Kansas City. They're putting that on Fox, on the regular Fox network, Channel 5 here in New York, and they're putting the Mets Cubs series, which is more of national significance because of the Cubs. Of course, the Mets, the series they have with the Dodgers, they regulate that on cable. And most people, the thing that bothers me with having all these sporting events on cable television is that everybody is from guys who want to talk radio or sports talk radio to ESPN, television, wherever. Everybody assumes that everybody could watch these games. Not everybody can afford cable TV. Cable TV is at least $100 a month. Some cases you get it for like $90. For a basic service, but it's at least $90 and above. Most people in this country or currently in the United States are currently unemployed. About at least 50 to 60 million people are unemployed, so they cannot afford to watch cable television. And those who happen to be fans of either the Mets or the Cubs, if you don't have cable, you cannot see these games. Most famously, there was a guy who called up WFAN, is a local sports station, which was really the first sports talk station in the country. He called up Mike Francesa's show. I think you can see that clip on YouTube, on his hero on YouTube. He calls in and he's crying on the air because he cannot see these games because even though he does have a job, he works as a school teacher. He cannot see any of these games because they're all on cable, and he can't afford cable. So Mike Francesa over saying to take him to a game. And I think we should put up a fund for this guy, and for anyone else that can't afford cable to see these games. And I think that we should force Major League Baseball to reconsider the policy with having these games on cable television. Because I feel that these games should be on free TV no matter what the circumstances are. And I feel that they should be on regular television or at least simulcast in local markets. So at least the fans in that city, whether it be the Mets, the Cubs, Kansas City, or Toronto, so they could see their teams in that city. Or in case of Canada, the whole entire country of Canada. But or at least in the respective states that the team plays in, they should be on regular television, playoff games no matter what. That's my own personal opinion, and I hope that those of you who watch this video, I hope you all agree with me. So let's make a video of the. I know, sorry I went into that rant there, but I feel it's important, and I feel I had to get that out, or to vent that out, because I feel that these games should be on regular television, and at least simulcast in the local market. That's what ESPN used to be. ESPN used to be the main station for at least the first round of the playoffs. They would show the games in the local markets. Don't do it anymore because they have MLB Network and they have Fox Sports 1 and TBS. So it's the majority of the playoff games. And they feel that whatever channel it is, whatever games that they have to be broadcasting, they should broadcast that game on a local station, a local over-the-air station, and not have it exclusively on cable. And I think that ruins the enjoyment of watching these playoff games because all the other sports show at least some games on regular television, either on the weekends or when prime time somewhere. They show the games on regular television. They should do that with. I don't know why baseball is not doing that. They should do that, and it's a disgrace they're not. So that's my preview video of the league championship series. And hopefully, I'll probably do one of the World Series as well when it comes down the pike. Uh, Thanks, and you can catch all of my videos and all on my YouTube channel when you go to rallyc.com. That's ROWDY, C.com. There's a homepage in the Rally Reviewer. You check out all of his videos with TV Trash and all of his other characters, plus all of his other content as well. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.